Hello, Mr. Chalmers. In reaction to this COVID situation, I'm a training teacher and I'm looking to produce some videos as a supplement to a lot of you will be teaching your kids at home at the moment, and what I'm thinking is it may sometimes be unclear with what homework you've been given by the teacher, no fault of their own, what exactly is trying to be achieved, especially if, say, terminology's changed since you were at school, or it very much pins on a definition of an understanding within a subject. So today I'm going to tackle visualization and reading, and that might be one that a lot hinges on if your understanding is similar to what's being taught. It's not really desirable to have a fork in the road there, although things are up for debate about how it's done, how it's being done, best way to do it, what's been asked for, what creates exceptional work. But I found in my training that that was a part of a journey for me so far, is having to go and find what does it mean to me, what does it mean in a New Zealand curriculum, because we've got quite a unique educational system here, and it's got a lot of strengths, but what that means is it's important to know how success is going about to be achieved. And so with the New Zealand curriculum document, which I'll see if I can make a link to, you should be able to get it online, even at home, to familiarise yourself with which level your teacher is teaching your student at and what their objectives are. They use a thing called achievement objectives, which helps guide the teacher to cover all the necessary topics for your child's class throughout the whole year, making sure they cover all topics and all competencies. It's a lot broader than that, but generally in terms of our tradition of knowing subjects and the skills required in those subjects, that's where they can all be found. And disclaimer, I'm not endorsed by anyone, but I feel that maybe this particular approach to, I'm not going to model a lesson, do a video and say you can try to mirror me. I think teaching is very unique to the teacher, and I want you to be able to work within your own personality and your strengths and adapt concepts to a familiar surrounding. Things you wouldn't want to grab a book that you don't read, that you've got no interest about. Grab a book that you're passionate about and you can talk about, and your child can feel that I'm actually enthused by this book. I'm genuinely excited. They'll catch on to that. In the curriculum, two things that come up a lot in New Zealand is learning intention and success criteria, and I'll try to encapsulate that in all my videos. That it's like without an aim, you'll never get there kind of thing. Is the approach towards our curriculum is very much make it very clear what you're learning, what you're teaching, what's going to be learned. It doesn't need to be a secret. That's something we seem to be moving away from, is the student guessing what we're learning about today. So LI, learning intention. Today we are learning to visualize and reading. You can tell them that straight from the beginning, and if I don't know how much the style of homework, how it's been sent out electronically. If you're working with given a learning intention or a what we are learning today, maybe some greater understanding about how that was got to, produced, where it came from, could maybe just help you feel more confident in taking a lesson and answering questions from your child. And then at the other end, you say, okay, well, we've got an intention, but we need to be able to measure it somehow. So success criteria today, I guess, looks a lot less like maybe traditionally we'd say, you've got it, you haven't got it, oh, I'm impressed, I'm feeling good, or I'll give you a percentage mark of how many you got right, or it's this and such. Success criteria often looks more like, have you made a complex sentence? I asked you to make a complex sentence. Have you actually done that? have you used correct punctuation, or have you stayed on topic? Like, you've done the exercise wonderfully, but I asked you specifically to write about one thing. So it's relevant, but it's kind of not the end of the world. And it's important there that you don't give the student 1,000 objectives, especially short time span. You're only teaching them one or two things. Make sure you're not measuring them on anything else today, other than what you said. I'm teaching you this, let's see how well you've picked that up. You don't want to be picking up and focusing on their spelling when something you've been working on within the lesson is not related to that. Okay, so visualization, it comes under reading. If you can get your hands on, it should be available at some stage through the mail, Sheena Cameron's Reading Comprehension. It's done within a New Zealand context, and so this is very good for the kinds of things that we consider valuable in New Zealand and within our educational framework, and saying that the activity sheets and stuff, they don't feel irrelevant. They feel they've been tailored towards the curriculum that we're doing, and there's a nice synergy there. So it's one of the probably number one go-tos for New Zealand teacher resources in that thing. If I think she's Australian publisher or something, there's a website for it, so it's quite easily to obtain if you want to make the investment, depending on how long this lockdown thing's going to last. So with visualization, how she defines it, I guess, is I won't say how she defines it, or my definition is when you read, you have to fill in a lot of the information yourself. You don't have pictures, so you take the text and then you start to imagine something. That imagining is a combination of things you already know and that kind of X factor of your actual imagination, where you can produce things like fairies and dragons, things you've never seen before. And it's important to realise that in literature that there has to be an imagination aspect. And I guess in a way, if you're not engaging that while you're reading, it's not motivating. And it is a skill. Like, some people probably lean to it naturally more than others, but it's something that you can develop a bit. You can definitely develop on the writing side, and I like to kind of couple visualization with its thrust seems to be on the reading side, but well, we need it for writing, because what tends to happen is we write when we're young, and we focus on the sense of what I see. That's probably what you're going to write about. I describe, this is what I see the beach, I see some seagulls, and then how we can unpack that. We don't have to talk about everything all the time, but if we engage all the senses, and we talk about obviously emotion as well, but smell and touch, and you say I'm at the beach and I can feel the graininess of the sand beneath my toes, you're already becoming more imaginative in your writing. And it doesn't necessarily come naturally, that the way that you can do that with an exercise to start to become in the pattern of using more expressive writing with visualization would be to actually give a sheet that says, okay, here's your topic, the beach. We've got all 5 senses here, and I want you to put something in every category, even if you feel a bit nervous about it. That it might be, it's irrelevant, but you want to be thinking about all 5 senses, and to push into that kind of becoming a normality, that the writing will become more expressive. But as a emphasis in the New Zealand curriculum, I think under reading, so the skill of reading and starting to imagine, great example that Cameron uses is you read a book and then you go watch the film, okay, and the film's visual, and you're like, oh, that's not really how I imagined it. Like, sometimes you feel like the filmmaker did a great job encapsulating what the writer wanted, and what you saw, and what you found, the kind of emotions that it evoked in you. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. They've got a hard job because they've got 1 hour 50 running time to condense a book that maybe took you a couple of hours to read. So they always have to details. That's very prevalent in Lord of the Rings, and so the movie maker has to decide what they're going to skip, and passionate readers can feel upset about that. It's a tough thing, and often books are disappointing when they go to film. But there's the idea there, as you say, I'm reading the book. What am I imagining? It's transporting me to that place. I'm there. I'm engaging all my senses. I'm seeing things. I'm smelling things. I'm hearing things. It creates the entire atmosphere of a different place in my imagination. And you can cultivate that skill by taking a bit of patience and asking the questions. Okay, you're there. You're in the scene in the book. What are you thinking? What are you feeling? What are you hearing? What are you seeing? What are you smelling? What are your emotions? And when a young person can transport themselves into like being the character in the story, I think it's really engaging their imagination a lot more. And I think it gives them a potential, if they find reading a bit mundane, that it can potentially start to come alive, and that can lead on to them being more excited about writing potentially. Great example of visualization is the scene in Dead Poets Society with Robin Williams. He's got the student there. I'll try to put a link for you to find that one. And there's that point where he's, peer pressure. All his peer buddies are giving him, embarrassment to say you're starting to sound a bit funny here. And Williams just keeps pushing through and saying, no, close your eyes, shut them out. Tell me, what do you see? What do you see? And you can see how he gets deeper and deeper, and he's tapping into that potential, that great imagination of the poetic style that he's got in him already, but it just needs to be cultivated. So for like an extension of if you're reading, I would say use a book in the home that your family loves, endorses. Take that book and then read to your child, and then stop and say, what do you see? What do you hear? And you can even get them to draw it. I think that's a good way of engaging different learning styles. Is say you start to draw what you're seeing. It's a great way of seeing what the student is actually thinking in their mind. And if you want to extend it a little bit, you can go a bit past the story, and you can say, what happened before, what happened after, or you've got so much information in the writing, in the book. Tell me what the character's thinking. Do a drawing with a speech bubble and say, you've been described this by the author. What is that character thinking? And it's amazing what young people can start to, draw an inference of, well, they're angry, so I guess this is their monologue inside them saying, fed up with, I'm ready to walk off or something. And that's very much a stepping stone and towards them writing effectively and enjoying literature more too when they're reading. So I hope that's given you a little bit of an unpacking of visualization in the New Zealand curriculum. Let me know what future videos you might like posted, explained, technical definition, or if it's grammar, I'll do my best with grammar, and open to science and mathematics and such forth as well. I'll try to add those links, and let me know in your comments and thoughts. Thank you.